What's up, Rapport family? It's your boy C-Dub. Keionte Scott returns to Auburn football in 2024. Also, Marcus Harris opts to go pro. What will Auburn's defense look like going into the bowl game? And how will this team look like with the portal exits as well as entries? We discussed that and more in the latest edition of the Midweek Report. Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to the latest Midweek Report, courtesy of AuburnSports.com. Show us love by supporting our sponsors. Head over there and check out the content they have over at AuburnSports.com. Also, you can show us additional support for free. This is some of the free stuff you can do. Share this video, smash that like button, and if you just happen to find our channel, subscribe to our channel. Get yourself a green name, because with some of these portal additions, our guy Ike Jones is going to be doing some film review of what you can expect to see coming to Auburn's roster in 2024. Get yourself a green name. Mike G can tell you how to get that green name.
Yeah, guys, look, it's a great thing to do for your life. Hold on one second. Yep. Now do this for your life. Become a patron. Join our channel. We got lots of great things going on at the War Report. You don't want to miss it. Some stuff goes behind the paywall. This is a great way to get access to some premium content, but also become a micro sponsor of our channel. If you like the one-on-one interviews, if you like the firesides, you can help keep that content going by becoming a patron. You can also give the gift of the War Report by hitting that gifted membership button. YouTube chooses these at random to people who interact with our channel at a high level but haven't made the decision to become a member yet. Gifted memberships are a great program that YouTube has started. You guys have taken full advantage of that. We appreciate you guys giving the gift of the War Report. Guys, we're giving away a mug. You don't want to miss out on this. We're going to draw at the 1 hour mark. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments to get in that drawing and get yourself a mug. This is one of the favorite things that we do at the War Report. That's giving something away to you, the listener. Every single live stream, we're doing this. This is brought to you by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services in conjunction with War Eagle Oil. Great day one sponsors of the War Report. Also want you guys to check out the War Report Podcast Network. Dylan joins us from the College Loop, but you also can get the Auburn Express, the Uptempo Podcast, and Just a Sec. So check them out. Audio only. Subscribe on whatever you listen to podcasts on. They are definitely there. Also want to give a special shout out to show sponsor Lynch Toyota, guys. Head on over to Lynch Toyota. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, Lynch Toyota has you covered. Lynch Toyota is the area's premier Toyota dealership serving the Auburn area for over 20 years. Not only can you shop new Toyota vehicles like the popular Camry, Tacoma, and Rapport, but you'll also find great deals on a huge selection of certified pre-owned vehicles. To top it off, all new Toyotas purchased from Lynch Toyota include a lifetime warranty, unlimited years, unlimited miles, nationwide coverage for free. To buy, sell, trade, or service your vehicle, make sure you shop Lynch Toyota of Auburn for the best customer experience. Get started now at lynchtoyotaofauburn.com. All Toyotas are created equal. Lynch Toyota makes the difference.
Gentlemen, Auburn basketball getting ready to tip off against UNC Asheville.
They are.
In Hunts Vegas. That's where Ike Jones is covering that. Auburn had a strong showing this weekend in the Hoops Giving Classic game or matchup against Indiana, where they pretty much boat raced Indiana.
That's accurate.
Shot very well. And we saw how Auburn looks when they don't shoot very well. Our expectations of how this team will look. Bruce Pearl talked about this potentially being a trap game and how they aren't looking past UNC Asheville. We know what happened when Auburn went on the road to play Appalachian State. Mike G, your thoughts about Auburn basketball before we get into our topic. Your thoughts about Auburn as they'll be tipping off probably right around about now.
Look, that game was electric, guys. Indiana
You were
showed
there,
up.
right?
Yeah, I was there with Ike. We were covering live. Indiana fans showed up. They were there. Our guy Pablo Escobarner had said in our group chat that there's a strong contingent of Indiana fans in the Atlanta metro area. They all showed up. It was probably 60-40 in their favor. It was loud. It was hostile. Auburn got down 11 or 12 early, and they did not lose composure. They came back and ended up winning by 28. Make no mistake. Don't let the score fool you. That was a tough environment. That was a tournament environment they won in. It's the type of game that you're looking for from your team. If you're Bruce Pearl, he has repeatedly said, we are desperately in search of 2 full halves of basketball. That was it. That's exactly what he was looking for. They put it together, particularly from the outside, man. Like, God, Auburn got hot from 3, and it was a lot of different players. Jalen Williams was hitting the step back 3 with confidence. It was great, man. I enjoyed. That's the fun brand of basketball I think that Auburn fans expected after the 2019 season more often. They just got to get a little bit more consistent with the shooting, but it was a phenomenal win for it against a streaking Indiana team right now, and for an Auburn team that has the potential to make a lot of noise this year in the SEC.
Dylan, your thoughts about this game? We saw some people actually, like Denver Jones had a good game against Indiana, and so talk about, one of the things that's been talked about is Auburn's depth. How important is it for Auburn to actually show production throughout their depth?
Well, I think during the game against Indiana, one of the broadcasters had said, and Colin brought this up, one of the co-hosts of the College Loop, brought up the fact that the broadcaster said that KD Johnson, sometimes he plays for the other team. Tonight, he's playing for Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever KD Johnson and like Chad Baker-Mazara, guys like that off the bench can come out and just consistently play a high level brand of basketball that Auburn kind of expects nowadays. It's like a dog eat dog world now. Auburn's a blue blood because we beat down a blue blood. That's how it works, right? Like we're officially a blue blood status.
Yeah, that works. That kind of
yeah.
So, and that comes by the fact that Bruce Pearl goes into every game saying that my 10 is better than your 10, and nothing proved that more than whenever Auburn went into State Farm Arena, make sure I get the arenas right, and absolutely pummeled whatever a Hoosier is.
I feel the same way about a Hokie,
Exactly.
It was a Hokie.
Hokie. But tonight, as the game is just now tipped off, I have it going on my other monitor. You got to find a way to stay consistent, and you can't get lost under the lights of what's going to be a packed Neville Arena on Saturday against USC. Bronny's going to be in the building. The jury's still out on whether Braun's going to be in the building. They don't have a game. They don't have a game.
The Lakers don't have a game. Yeah.
You just don't get too big-headed. Stay level, play your brand of basketball, and don't choke under the lights.
Yeah.
Get to Saturday, basically.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like, look, here's the deal for this team. Bruce Pearl promised that this would be the greatest balance of minutes of any team he's ever coached. They said that in preseason, and he's delivering on that. Now he's starting to have to lean a little bit more towards the players that are playing better than some others. But you have playmakers on. Chad Baker-Mazara has been a shot of energy for this team. And nobody was talking about him preseason. I think Chaney Johnson and Denver Jones were getting a lot of the hype. Chaney is a great he's just a great defender. He's a high energy guy. Like, he does a lot of the little things well, and he can score here and there for you. Denver obviously is a good shooter. When he's on, he's on. When he's off, it's a little iffy, right? But Chad Baker-Mazara has shown himself to be a good inside out dude, man. Floaters, threes, layups, dunks. He just missed it was a few games ago where he had a just missed putback dunk that he was in the post game. He was just like, I wanted to bring the house down. This guy is an amazing teammate, and he brings a lot of energy. He brings a lot of like KD type energy without some of the KD antics, and it's amazing. What a great pickup for Bruce Pearl's squad. Aiden Holloway is the shooter every team needs. He's not afraid to step back and pull it. And he doesn't care how many he misses, man. He's going to keep pulling, and eventually he's going to get hot. That's just the type of guy he is. Trey Donaldson, will give you good defensive minutes off the bench, but he also, when he gets hot, he's gotten hot from the outside a few games this year, and he can score.
He can shoot.
He can score. They look confident to me. They'll continue to build confidence as the season goes on, but Bruce Pearl has enacted a brand of basketball here, guys, that is worth every dollar. Now, I posted some on Twitter, Dylan, and Bama fans came out everywhere to say, what are you talking about, this overrated experience? And it was simply that USC is coming. The lower level tickets are $300 to $450. Caesar, when we were in school, I don't care. Michael Jordan could come to town and folks weren't paying $300, $400 for a ticket at Neville or Auburn Arena or whatever it was back then. It just wasn't happening.
It was Beard Eves.
Yeah. Oh, I just forgot.
That's how old
right?
we are.
Yeah, right. And so my point was that it's not so much that Bronny is coming to town. He's barely played. It's not like he's showing out right now. He's just coming off an injury. This is about Auburn being competitive and having a P5 opponent, non-conference, come to town. Now, some people might show up to see Bronny, but let's be clear. Bronny is not going to be the star of the show. Aiden Holloway is going to be the star of the show. I know they got some McDonald's All-Americans over there at USC, but Auburn has their own. So I want to make it clear to these bum-ass Bama fans that this ticket is a hot ticket because of what Bruce Pearl has built on the Plains. If it's an SEC game, if it's a major P5 non-conference opponent, Auburn fans are going to show up. They're going to camp out. And that's all because of the efforts that Bruce Pearl has done developing this program into a winner. Not about somebody's son who's coming to town to play basketball for a night. Give me a break. This is an A-plus experience here in Auburn that Bruce Pearl is delivering to you every home game.
Word.
It's not about Bronny. It's about Auburn. I said what I said, guys.
No, I mean, listen, I agree with you. Whenever you can get the ESPN announcers on a random weekday to refer to our environment as lit, that's all because of Bruce Pearl, not because of who's coming into our environment.
Yeah.
Bruce Pearl has built a program at Auburn, and as a result, Auburn has become, or Neville Arena has become, one of the premier college basketball
greatest
environments
experiences
in the nation.
And they took that on the road, Caesar, to State Farm Arena in Atlanta, and they created it there. I mean, it was raucous. I know Indiana fans outnumbered Auburn fans by a little, but my God, Auburn fans did their part to make that a one-of-a-kind basketball environment. Literally a tournament environment, guys. It was incredible. And you don't drive 100 miles and show up and make all that noise for a bump because it's just some guy on Indiana's in town. You do that because your squad is good and they're competitive and they're going to give you a show. And it's going to be the same thing on Sunday versus USC when they come in here and get that same beat down Indiana guy. I said it. Calling it. Auburn by 20.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I mess with it. I mean, USC's fresh off of a loss to known basketball powerhouse Long Beach. Overtime loss at that. Yeah,
I love you. You're the stats guy. We invited the stats guy tonight. Yeah.
It's going to be the commercials are going to be about Bronny versus Auburn. That's all the commercials are going to be. That's all ESPN wants to talk about.
Sure.
I mean, Bleacher Report sent me 7 notifications about Bronny scoring 4 points in a game. That's what it's going to be about. I'm
just happy he's okay.
Exactly. And it's all about Auburn.
Legitimately, he had like a heart attack on the court.
Right.
I'm glad he's healthy. I wish him the best. But if I've ever wanted a game where Bronny James goes out and shoots 0 for 7 with 0 rebounds, 5 turnovers, and this is a game I want him to do it. I want to embarrass LeBron James' son on national television because that is all this game has been surmounted to. It's just been Bronny's coming to Auburn. Bronny's coming to Auburn.
It's going. It can be a come out party. It could be a come out party for us.
If fans thought that Auburn was just going to get mopped, no contest in this game, nobody's paying $400 for a ticket. I don't care what you say. I don't care who's coming to town. Nobody. If you're an Auburn fan, you're not paying $400 to see Auburn get mopped by a great player. You're showing up because you think they have the ability to mop said good player. Auburn's holding the mop. That's why people are paying $400. Or the broom, because they got one on the team. You sweep and then you mop. That's the order. Get the broom out and then mop them right after. Let's go. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to be at this game and watch a battle of great athletes. Bronny's a great athlete. Yeah, I want to give him his flowers. Like, he's a phenomenal athlete, and he earned every single bit of attention that he has gotten because of his play, not just because of his dad's name, right? None of that is going to stop them from getting that business on Sunday. None.
This would be a game I hope they would do like a Nebraska and just put the basketball court on the football field, like what Nebraska did for volleyball.
Yeah.
Because you would load up Jordan-Hare Stadium for a basketball game. And you have a team on the other side of the state that can't even fill up an airplane hangar for a nationally like televised game either.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. All right, guys. Listen, enough about basketball. We know that's going on as we're doing our show. Just wanted to show them some love before we got into our conversation. It was announced this week that Keionte Scott is returning for the 2024 season, guys. Listen, Keionte Scott brings with him 21 games worth of experience in an Auburn uniform. 9 games this season. Of course, he struggled with injuries, didn't play the full season. Played a total of 1,059 snaps, 430 snaps on defense in 2023. Obviously, he had a punt return for a touchdown this season, 35 tackles, 1 pass breakup. He's definitely going to be one of the leaders in the secondary. It's important to make note here that, you know, we'll get into some of the leadership of that secondary and the role Keionte Scott will play and who's returning. But let's talk about the impact of him coming back. By the way, before you guys talk about that, you should check out the interview that I did with Keionte Scott that also dropped this week. Great to hear from him. He's an ambassador for Auburn. Calls himself the closer because he's one of the guys they've been tasked to get him to talk to guys who are either in the portal, coming to visit Auburn. He just wants to see Auburn win. But just talk about real quick, Mike, how important it was for him to come back to Auburn and be a force in our secondary once again.
Well, guys, he's got NFL talent, right? Keionte Scott is going to have a long, prosperous career at the next level. And to get a guy to come back like that, we took a look at it, like over 400 total snaps he played this year. And he missed some games. He is a great punt returner. As we learned during the Iron Bowl, how important his role at the punt returner is. And he's just an experienced guy. He's a team guy. He's a guy who does all the things that you need him to do on and off the field, in practice, a true leader. I would like to say his video announcing that he was coming back was one of the greatest troll jobs in the history of announcing coming back. He had me the whole time. He was like, "Oh, it's been great, and we've had a hell of a run, but it's not over." Right? It was great. It was great theater. But you know, that's the kind of guy he is, man. He brings life to his team. His teammates love him. You know, he sets the example. He sets the tone. And if you're Hugh Freeze, you better thank your lucky stars that a guy that sets the tone as well as Keionte Scott does has chosen to come back to your squad. It is. Now, they're losing like 26 guys. They have no eligibility left, and a lot of those starters, Simps, DJ James, all these guys are gone. Pritchett, gone. Having Keionte Scott come back was critical. You know, now I think that NIL is part of what makes a lot of this possible. Let's be real here. It helps fill the gaps because these guys are not just playing for themselves; they're playing for their families, both immediate and otherwise. They're looking to improve the lives of not only them, right, but what any man looks to do. When you become a man and when you find success, you improve the lives of the people around you first and foremost. That's what any good man does. And NIL provides those opportunities for these kids to do that while continuing their education. And this is the part of NIL that I love. You get a team player, a guy who has a shot at the next level to be able to come back and continue that culture. And it won't be just in play. Like when you have a guy who sets an example the way Keionte Scott does, he's listen, he's going to have a profound impact on some young player's life that's coming in. He's going to mentor. He's going to help you lay a foundation for your program on that side of the ball moving forward, where guys understand what hard work, dedication, right, and great play is.
Yeah.
This is re-recruiting your own roster has become such a big part of college football now, with the portal and, you know, having the opportunity to just transfer someplace else. And for at the end of the process, there's the pros looking to take your players there. So when you can convince a guy like this to come back, it's no small task, and it is to be celebrated. And I think it says something not only for the state of the program, but also for the state of NIL at Auburn, that you can not only take care of the players coming in, but the guys who are already here contributing to the culture that you're trying to build.
Indeed. Dylan, jump in, man. What's your thoughts?
I mean, I love it. I love Keionte Scott. I can't wait to see him with a nice, pretty little C on his jersey for next season, because this dude, he's a captain without the C. He's going to be a vocal leader.
Yep.
He's a leader on the field. And his thing, I mean, the closer is pretty funny, knowing that Auburn lost the Iron Bowl because he was not on the field to help close out the game.
Yeah.
Which is funny. And I've also heard this babysitter Bari tweeting out, but I'm going to count it as because he seems more right than wrong most of the time.
All right.
About a linebacker potentially coming back for another year. Eugene Asante, because I've not heard word about him potentially. I don't think he's accepted his invite yet for the Senior Bowl. I think he got one.
Yeah.
So that would boost up this defense tremendously. But Keionte Scott, I mean, dude's a dog. He is just an absolute definition of the word dog. And he is going to do great things next year for the Auburn Tigers. But I will say, transportal-wise, I put up a banger tweet talking about how the players who are on their third or fourth year transfer probably should start transferring to service academies, which would probably help them out in the long run as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm excited about him coming back because, again, to Mike G's point, we're losing a lot of experienced guys next year. So it's important to get guys like Keionte to come back, spin the block one more time for Auburn's defense. Let's talk about this secondary. Clearly, Keionte is going to be the leader of this secondary because you're losing a lot of guys. Simpson, Pritchett, DJ James. You return J.D. Rim, Kayan Lee. Auburn actually picked up a commitment for the 2024 class in Laquan Robinson, three-star safety, who is expected to contribute once he touches down in Auburn. So I'm curious of your thoughts about what this secondary could look like next year.
Well, looking at it from that, I mean, you also lost Austin Osbury to the transportal as well.
Yep.
You lost him. You lost Marquise Gilbert as well, who also hit the portal.
Which I think long-term wise, Austin Osbury is probably the only loss I would look at and like lament over about it being, dang. But overall, the secondary next year has an opportunity to be maybe a little bit more balanced going in the next year. I think Laquan Robinson adds the level of tackling that you got from Zion Puckett with a little bit more coverage. And by a little bit, I mean a lot more. There was a lot of times where I saw Zion Puckett in coverage, and I knew the receiver was going to make the grab. Laquan Robinson, every piece of film that I've seen on him, dude is a ball-hawking, hard-hitting safety who I think is probably going to end up starting next year.
Yeah.
And Kayan Lee, I mean, he is just
so much promise. Yeah.
I've never seen a cornerback with so much upside right off the bat. We could be looking at him as one of the top corners Auburn's ever seen, just with the level of talent and the level of upside that he has just as a whole. And with Zach Etheridge and Crime Dog just working with him week in, week out, dude is just going to be an absolute baller. And you can't forget Jalen Crawford and Amon Lane coming in as well. Those two are going to be dogs. The secondary is just built to be just the best position group on the team for the next 3 or 4 years.
I mean, you got guys like Terrence Love, who's already on campus. You still got your Caleb Woodens. So you got some guys back there for sure who can step in and really fill the shoes of those guys who are moving on. So Blake Robinson just missed Sylvester Smith as well. So yeah, we got some guys back there. So I'm curious to see what the competition will look like come spring. So yeah, that just good to hear that Keionte is coming back and will be a leader, one of the leaders of this team. Let's talk about another guy, Marcus Harris. Marcus Harris, as expected, I mean, no shocker here, is moving on and will be in the NFL draft. That's a big loss considering Auburn has one more game left in this season against Maryland. And Harris was easily the best player along Auburn's defensive line. Hugh Freeze talked a lot about that defensive line being good, but not a lot of depth. So obviously this hurts Auburn in terms of depth going into that bowl game, as well as to the future. Our thoughts about that. I'll start with you first, Dylan.
Yeah, it's a huge loss, but long-term wise, I mean, the bowl games, they matter for some teams. I'm sure it'll help recruiting a lot for Auburn. But we all knew Marcus Harris was a goner to the league. He's going to get drafted day 2, and he has plenty of time to boost that up to day 1 just because of how talented and how good he is. Looking at, it's going to hurt Auburn's depth. I'm trying to think of who exactly would be the starting defensive tackle after him because we lost Steven Johnson, Sledge, and there was Wilkie Denard all to the portal. So depth-wise, it hurts. But overall, it's the best move for him. And I mean, Auburn just needs to pick up some guys from the portal, and there's plenty of really good defensive tackles that'll contribute right away. Some from Texas A&M that have 4 years of eligibility remaining because Jimbo Fisher also can't develop talent.
Yeah, he ain't developing nobody right now.
He'll be a great offensive analyst for some contender.
I think Saban will give him a redemption arc.
Saban's going to hire Jimbo Fisher and Bill Belichick to his analyst staff. It's ridiculous. But yeah, great move for him. I'll get the jersey if he comes to the Panthers.
All right.
Mike G, your thoughts, man?
Look, DJ James is gone. Jalen Simpson is gone. Huge losses, right? So with these two guys out of here, right, you're missing a ton of tackles and a lot of coverage. And, some of the high, Jalen Simpson had himself a season in terms of grading out. Every week it was best, you know what I mean? He was one of the best PFF was grading. So you've got to look at that and you've got to think, crap, those guys are gone, right? So Keionte coming back obviously helps, but I'm with Dylan. Kayan Lee showed tremendous potential this year. And I think that this is part of building a winning program is having next guy up. They developed at least some depth in terms of how much he played. And I think he has a chance to be one of the better defensive backs in this league, guys. He just, he had some young mistakes at times, but for the most part, when a play was to be made and he was on the field, he was on the good side of things. And I was impressed with that young man. JD Rim, I think, is another guy you have to watch back there that has a ton of talent and has a chance to contribute a lot. Auburn, I think, is going to be okay in the secondary. I really do that. Now, you talked about Laquan Robinson Dillon coming in. Great pickup. That young man got a lot of talent, and you've got to continue to just fill the stores here. I think Terrence Love, is still on the team.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Right. So you've got some guys who can contribute. He didn't play a ton last year. But he played well in spots that he got in. I like the secondary for a long time. Look, Ron Roberts has got that thing, man. What a great hire for Hugh Freeze. And I think that he has done an exceptional job in terms of developing the talent that he has and putting those guys in a scheme where they have an opportunity to make plays. And that's really all you can ask of your coaches. First, it starts with coaching. What are we asking them to do? Well, as it turns out, in that secondary, they succeeded a lot at what they were asked to do. Now, sometimes they went up against some great players, and those great players make great plays because it happens when you play great players. Remember for LSU, people, I called it 45-18 or 17 or something. And they were like, you think LSU is going to put 45 on this defense? I said, yes, I do. I do think. And they went out and put 48. But that's not a shot at our secondary. It was just understanding, look, sometimes a great defense plays a better offense. But outside of LSU, name the team that dominated Auburn secondary. And don't tell me about 4th and 31. I've already, like, it's out of here. Right? Other than that, played a great game. So I just think the secondary showed a ton of promise, but I thought that the scheme showed a ton of promise, and I'm confident that they can plug guys in. Look, there's a reason Austin Osbury left.
Yeah.
There's a reason he jumped in the portal. You know why? Because there's talent in front of him.
Right.
He didn't see a path to the field. Guys, that's a good thing. Every program deals with this. So if you liked Austin, I think he's a talented kid.
Yeah.
Well,
I was excited about him.
Yeah, when you have talented kids hit the portal after a great defensive season, that means you've got great talent left on your team. Let's go. You have to. This is a time to bug. If you were ever going to bug about Auburn secondary, Austin Osbury leaving is actually a signal that you have enough talent in that room that he just felt like, shit, I better go play someplace else. You know, now he probably has some other reasons, I'm sure. This is complete speculation on my part. It is not based on any inside knowledge. I try to differentiate between the two. You guys hear me bugging this hard. But I'm so optimistic about defense. I think they're going to be good for years and years to come. The recruiting on that side of the ball is only going to go up. And then Auburn is going to start tossing shuts.
Shutties?
Just shuts. They're going to shut something. Well, I'm going to say out, but they're going to shut something. They're going to shut the door on the running game, or they're going to shut the door on the passing game, especially with the secondary. I call it. Last time I joked about shutouts, everybody was like, see, they scored 3 points. You suck. So I just think they held 6 games this year. This secondary contributed to the defense, the opposition scoring no more than 2 scores 6 times. That's crazy. Guys, Washington made the playoff. Cal put 31 points on their defense. They managed 10 against Auburn.
Uh-huh.
Come on, like, this defense was good.
Yeah.
And the secondary played one of the biggest roles in that, if not the biggest. There's tons of talent there. I'm confident that what's left on this roster was enough that Austin Osbury says, I need to go play someplace else. That's all I'm saying. That's the only way to look at this.
Yeah, listen, I'm excited about this defense. I think the secondary actually, especially the safety with the good play we had, the Dylan Point, I expect it to actually be improved. With some of the guys we're bringing in. So I look forward to that. Listen, we're going to get into the opposite side of the ball because we're talking portal. We're going to talk some news on the offensive side of the ball. Definitely want to hang around for that. You're watching the Midweek Rapport. Do us a favor and share this video. Smash the like button and subscribe. Please do that. We'll pause, pay some bills, and we'll return to discuss offense.
This edition of the War Rapport is brought to you by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. When you work out, grill out, and chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at GoldensCastIron.com. And our giveaway sponsor, War Eagle Oil. For all of your motor oil and related products, head over to WarEagleOil.com.
Guys, become a patron of the War Rapport. We got lots of great content. Guys, now that we are in full swing, the one-on-one content that we are doing is amazing. I love being back in Alabama for this reason. Look, you saw us sit down with Bruce Pearl. You're going to see us sit down with a lot more coaches and players. You can make this happen by continuing to sponsor our channel. $5.99 a month will help us gas up the cars, head to Auburn, and bring you more of the most amazing content of any channel out there in conjunction with the Uptempo, Auburn Express, and the College Loop. Also, just a sec, bringing you guys amazing audio-only content. Again, become a patron. You can help keep this content going. You can gift a membership. That gifted membership program is one of the best things YouTube started. You guys have done an amazing job taking advantage of this. Continue to gift memberships. Share the gift of the War Rapport. And in exchange, we're going to share with you. We give something away every live stream. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments. This is sponsored by War Eagle Oil in conjunction with GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. That's our guy, Walt Taylor, day one sponsor of the War Rapport. We appreciate him and all the efforts he does in keeping us going here at the War Rapport. Guys, this segment is brought to you by MANSCAPED. Santa Baby, the season for a fresh cut is finally here with the sponsor of today's show, MANSCAPED. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have just launched their 5th generation performance package to help you avoid another silent night in the bedroom this year. Take care of your special snowflake with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra and watch your South Pole shine like never before. Get the best stocking stuffer of all by going to manscaped.com and using code RAPPORT for 20% plus free shipping. Mrs. Claus will thank you. Manscaped is a one-stop shop for all your holiday needs. They have the perfect gift in the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, which includes loads of perfect stocking stuffers. What could be better than giving the gift of good hygiene with a few laughs? Again, get 20% off and free shipping with code RAPPORT at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com and use code RAPPORT. Say ho, ho, ho to a well-groomed mistletoe with Manscaped. We love Manscaped. They make the best products. When they first started, it was this commercial of this dude, and he brought a girl home, but you know what I'm saying? He needed to clean up the carpet a little bit, and they were marketing their shaver Caesar as the quietest on the market. Like, you could go into the bathroom and she ain't gonna hear a thing because it's gonna be like, and then it's like, what's up, baby? Right? That's what Manscaped is doing. They are improving the lives of men by helping them groom on the low, quietly, with the girl in the next room. Manscaped.com, like 20% off, code RAPPORT.
Good job. No, Manscaped has that, you know. Yeah. Listen, let's grab some super chats. TJ Lou says, I'm calling it now. DJ Barber will be a dog linebacker.
Yeah.
I'm excited about our linebacker core.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you don't know what TJ's talking about,
this is perhaps if you're not talking wide receivers, this is the most exciting room that's getting an upgrade with this 2024 class, right?
Yeah.
With some of the talent we got coming in, and people have been, and even though he's kind of rated the lowest of our linebackers, people have been pretty high on DJ Barber. So I am excited about what this kid brings to the room for sure. But what you about to say, Mike?
If DJ Barber, right? If you missed, I think it was the 5A state champion, or was it 4A against Saraland?
Oh Lord, I think they're 6A.
36A. Oh, so Saraland, which Ryan Williams plays for, was playing. God, what team is DJ Barber on?
Clay.
Yeah, whatever team DJ Barber.
Clay Chalkville.
Yeah, right. And he made the game-saving tackle on Lacey, who is a Texas quarterback commit. So Saraland inexplicably went for the win in the last seconds. Terrible clock management by their coach. And instead of kicking the field goal to tie instead of overtime, Lacey dropped back. Nothing was there. He tried to get to the end zone where DJ Barber says, no, sir, not happening. Auburn fans correctly pointed out all over my Twitter that was DJ Barber that made the game-saving tackle. Auburn is getting a dog. Stay Fly says Sarah Land. I said Saraland. Sarah Land. Sarah's Land.
I'll pronounce it right if Ryan Williams flips.
Did you almost say Ryan Reynolds?
You know what?
I wouldn't mind Ryan Reynolds to commit to Auburn too, but
yeah. Well, Ryan.
No, I don't.
We'll say his school's name right.
I'll say his
Ryan
name.
Reynolds.
I'll say his name right and
Yeah.
Saraland's name correctly too. If he flips.
There you go, my guy.
And getting because Auburn's trying to get that QB as well, but
yeah,
no, they have talked about possibly getting them to play together at Auburn. But yeah, Lacey would be a good pickup as well.
Look, man, all the guys were like Hugh Freeze was there, Caddy was there, Marcus Davis was there, Josh Aldridge was there. they had a ton of coaches at that game checking out not only DJ Barber, but also Ryan Williams, who we've heard set his last visit before signing day in February with Auburn. So
that's pretty interesting, by the way.
Yeah, an interesting development there.
Grab this one here. James Morris says, has anyone heard anything new on Demario Tolan?
No, I have not. No news here. Dylan, you got anything?
Yeah, not since the beginning of the season. Not a word.
If I remember correctly, he had some tragedy in his family.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
That's what prompted him to actually go back home.
So
we
prayers
don't
up for him.
On that.
Yeah,
for sure. Gentlemen, I meant to ask you this before we start talking about offense. We discussed Marcus Harris declaring for the draft. Also, Wilkie Denard hit the portal as well. That kind of hurts Auburn in terms of depth. Again, I made mention of this earlier. What does Auburn do? I mean, obviously you have guys like Jason Jones. You have guys like Keldrick Falk. You have guys like Justin Rogers returning. But again, Hugh Freeze has always been concerned about the depth up front. And not that Wilkie Denard was playing a lot, right? He didn't play hardly at all. But again, you still hate to lose numbers there, especially if this is a guy who you recruited for the future. So our thoughts on this position group. Obviously, Auburn has hosted some impressive kids this week who are Florida commits. So that situation could be resolved fairly quickly. But obviously, you have to replace Marcus Harris's production. So your thoughts about that position and what the coaching staff will need to do there.
Look, Wilkie had some stuff going on, man. Like, he was not doing all the things that he should be doing. Hugh Freeze is resetting a standard for behavior, both on and off the field, that I think he's very unwilling. In the beginning, when he first got here, I asked him about these lists. He's like, your name ends up on a list. It's not a good thing, right? And those lists end up on my desk, and then here's something else he has to manage. If you're a coach, you want to be managing football-related things. So, I won't get into the details, but, listen, man, these young men have a lot of lessons they need to learn about life. And you're not always going to be granted third and fourth reprieves. And, those things spill over into on-field habits. Hear me out. Like, have you guys ever heard the saying? Have you ever folks say how you do something is how you do everything?
Mm-hmm.
So how you do some things or how you're going to do everything. And so what they're trying to do is instill good habits and good regimens in these guys to do the right things all the time. And I'm not talking about, some great grand conspiracy. I'm just talking about little things that if you don't do them consistently enough, it notices. These coaches see more, I think, than the players think that they see sometimes. Mm-hmm. And Wilkie, he just got to get some stuff together. He's a really talented guy. He's a talented player. But there's a reason a lot of these talented guys hit the portal. Now, I asked Hugh Freeze in a press conference about that conversation inevitably that you have to have with a guy when you got to say, hey, it's in your best interest to go play someplace else. Now, this isn't based on anything, but I have a feeling that Wilkie was one of those kids who got that talk and said, we might not be a great fit for you now. And if you want to continue your career, it may be in your best interest to go play someplace else. So, yes, it sucks to miss a depth piece like that. But at the end of the day, there will be more of this, and you should expect it at a high-level program where guys are going to be, in and out of the program who have talent. If you stack enough talent, it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. I think Wilkie is just one of those talented guys who, it's not going to pan out for him here at Auburn.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, I mean, Auburn brought in Darren Reed Jr. Last year as well. I mean, a guy who flipped from LSU. And looking at this class, I mean, I think Wilkie would have gotten pushed back even further on the depth chart with some of these guys coming in, especially Pike Road's finest, Malik Blockton, who the school that I teach at actually played Pike Road. And I had the pleasure of talking to one of the football players, and their scheme that they had built from Malik Blockton was they were going to look at whatever side he was lined up on, and they were going to call the play to the other direction. And that was their scheme, and he still managed to get like 9 tackles and 3 sacks. So that dude is going to be legit. I'm going to put my reputation on that because that kid is just that good. I'm pulling some Mel Kiper level like hype up right now.
I mean, you got TJ Lindsay as well. You got some talented kids.
And I mean, if you pull off Elgin McCray and keep Jamonte Waller, I mean, you're pulling in more talent than you're losing, is what I think. And Wilkie, he's got to figure some stuff out himself. I wish him the best wherever he goes. Hope he gets the help he needs. But Auburn's going to be fine defensive line wise for the future, just because the level of recruiting that's going on for that position and that position alone.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how confident you feel about the offensive side of the ball. Then,
well,
see if you keep that same energy. All right.
Let's not
all right.
Let's not get crazy.
So it was announced, or it became final. I think most people saw the writing on the wall here, but Auburn was showing interest in a particular QB who had entered the portal. Riley Leonard has actually committed to Notre Dame, and all signs as of now, obviously kids are still entering or jumping into the portal. So it'll be curious to see if Auburn makes a run at any of the QBs. But for right now, it looks like Peyton Thorne is on his way to being QB1 going into spring. Thoughts on that, guys? I'll start with you, Mike G.
Yeah, this is not unexpected. I think that Auburn was only going to go after a quarterback in the portal if it was going to be a gangbusters pickup. And there were a lot of non-gangbuster type quarterbacks in the portal. And if you weren't now I understand Malik Murphy has decided to hit the portal and Auburn fans are screaming, "Oh, what about this guy?" If the staff feels like he's a day one starter, they'll go after him. But at this point, you're not bringing in another guy to compete with Peyton Thorne. You already got guys on the roster to do that. Holden Gardner is here. If he's staying, then you're not going to go out and get another portal quarterback who, by the way, is not going to come for free. But not only are you going to have to commit money, you're going to have to commit something in terms of playing time if he's a top portal QB. Malik Murphy is not transferring to go sit on a roster and compete with other top guys. Just going someplace where he feels like there's a 99.9% chance that he's going to play. So if Auburn's going to land him, they're going to have to commit that to him. Now, Peyton Thorne has already decided to return. What do you think they said to him? Because I think if he thinks that there's a chance they may go back out and get another quarterback that might put him on the bench for his last year of eligibility, by the way, he's out of here. Now, there's still time for him to do that. Portal is closed until January 3rd. But I'm just saying, based on how it's played out now,
still time.
I think Peyton's staying. They're going to roll who they have, and they're going to try to groom a quarterback for 2025.
Yeah.
So you got to break this portal thing at some point at QB. You do. The programs that are winning consistently are grooming kids out of high school and turning to them when it's their turn. That's what they're doing. Now, I'm not saying you can't go out and get a portal QB and have a few years of success with them, but it's almost like when a guy goes to a program, redshirts, and then transfers, it's almost like you're getting a freshman QB out of high school. Let's be real. When Ewers went to Texas, he played down at Ohio State. He just went there, and it didn't work out, and he took a red shirt, and he still had 4 years of eligibility, and he went to Texas.
I think he played a little bit at Ohio State.
Yeah, but, like I said, enough to preserve the year of eligibility.
Time,
yeah, he preserved the year of eligibility is my point, and then he went to Texas, and he still got 4 years left to play. 3 after this year. Good for him. That's how it should be done. So if you're getting a guy young like that, guys, who still has a bunch of time left in front of him, and he's a potential program builder, go after that guy. If he's not that guy at this point, you got Walker White, who's been out here recruiting for you harder, like he's your campaign manager. Walker White could have gotten the president elected the way this man has campaigned for Auburn. And you've got to give those guys, they've got to feel like they have a chance. And the only way you do that is to get them in your program, groom them up, and then feel like the heir apparent is on the way. I have increasingly, as the season went along, it was clear because Hugh Freeze kept saying it. They're not going to be able to do the kind of offense they want to do until 2025 anyway. Yeah, you went out and got all these good receivers, but are they going to be gangbusters from game one? Probably not. They still need time to develop as well, too. So when you get that group of sophomore receivers that comes back, and then you have somebody amazing to throw them the ball, that's when Hugh Freeze goes back from the 239 attempts that Peyton Thorne had this year to the 400-something plus attempts he usually gives his quarterbacks. That's all I'm saying. So they don't want another quarterback. They're going to have to manage the way they managed Peyton Thorne this year.
So let me ask you this question, and then I'll toss this question to Dylan and let him jump in here real quick.
All right.
You brought in a lot of pieces during the second portal window. So it was a lot to have to try to figure out, build chemistry in time to put a product on the field game one in the season. And as we saw, it was a work in progress in terms of how they were managing the offense as well as Peyton Thorne.
Yeah.
Is the idea you think this year, we already have a year of Peyton Thorne on campus.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring in some guys around him early to start building some of that chemistry and see if we can have better results in year two while we're building depth or building or upgrading the talent of our offense. Your thoughts on that, Dylan?
Well, if I'm Hugh Freeze, I don't want to be put in the same position I was put in last spring, where you kind of had to panic and you got left with whatever's left from the transfer portal quarterbacks. You don't want to do that again. If you have Peyton Thorne, if you want to stick with Peyton Thorne, do that and develop him over the course of a spring and a fall instead of just relying on trying to develop talent you kind of panicked and picked up in the fall. That's why you got as dysfunctional of an offense as you had throughout the majority of the season. And I mean, looking at the portal quarterbacks right now, I mean, so we've mentioned Riley Leonard, Notre Dame, Grayson McCall, NC State, Dylan Gabriel's Oregon, Tyler Van Dyke is Wisconsin. The only quarterbacks left on that Auburn's contacted is, I believe, Will Howard and Cam Ward. And Will Howard, I think, is going to potentially go to USC, and Cam Ward is going to probably go to Florida. In the state of Florida, I think Miami or Florida State level, because of the level of money they were asking for. Because you probably spent some NIL to kind of get Peyton Thorne to get here. What are you willing to spend even more money to get a guy who Cam Ward, great quarterback? I know people talk about his record last year. Cam Ward is an outstanding quarterback, and I would admit he is an upgrade from Peyton Thorne talent wise. But is it worth spending even more money to get a guy that you're kind of banking on for a season? It's not worth that. So you're going to have to go into this offseason, do the transfer portal. I would kind of enjoy it, but it wouldn't happen if Hugh Freeze came out and said what he wants to do at the quarterback position. I want to stick with Thorne. I want to see what Thorne can do going into this next, because you have extra practices during bowl season. You can see exactly what your team's going to look like going the next year because you're losing some players who are going to not be there. I think if you're Freeze, you need to establish the fact that, hey, I like Thorne. I like where our future is going at the quarterback position. So we're going to back up some of these transfer portal guys because you don't have the star set of transfers you had last offseason. I think the best guy you have right now is Cam Ward. After that, available-wise, Will Howard, Will Rogers, DJ Uiagalelei. And then,
there you go.
Then you have Kyle McCord, KJ Jefferson, Malik Murphy. Malik Murphy has not started started a game, but he's not proven to be that X factor quarterback at Texas. There was a lot of games where he struggled at Texas. KJ Jefferson really struggled last year at Arkansas. DJ Uiagalelei never really was given. He improved a lot when he went to Oregon State, but Oregon State had a great run game established, and he didn't have to do that much with Damian Martinez. What would be the point of paying a lot of money for one of those guys if you've already paid the money for Peyton Thorne and then just giving up Peyton Thorne and then kind of banking on having a guy that you don't know what he can do in this offense? Just I know I'm a big Robbie Ashford guy, as you can see in the top right or left, whichever way you're looking at the time. But I mean, stick with your guys, build around Peyton Thorne, and then you have plenty of time to develop guys like Walker White or Holden Gardner, whichever one you want to develop first.
And there's a pretty expensive price tag with these QBs who are still unknowns with what you would be putting them into, right?
I've heard $2 million. I've heard $2 million for Cam Ward. That's what I've heard.
Yeah. It's the numbers are crazy. Matt Rule came out and just said it. If you don't have $1 million, you're not getting a top portal QB. And I don't know if the numbers are as high as some people are purporting, but like they're high enough. I think the point is they're high enough that you're not just spending most programs aren't just spending the money to park you on the bench if that's what they're doing. And that's what people need to understand is that with that price tag, it's not just the money. There are promises that have to be made as well, too, because these kids don't want to get paid just to sit. They still want to play. They understand that to get to the next level, they need tape, and they cannot get tape sitting on the bench. So playing time still matters. Everybody keeps talking about NIL. Kids still want to go someplace where they're going to be the guy. And at QB, you can only put one QB on the field at a time. Sometimes. We saw that. It looked great. But my point is if you're not the guy behind center, it just doesn't matter at all. Malik Murphy's not coming unless you're committing that he's going to be the guy. I don't care how much little if he's that sought after, good luck.
So the days are pretty much the whole spiel of
it's changed.
You got to come in and compete. That doesn't hit the same, especially if
not a top portal QB.
Especially if you win the bidding war, right? It almost kind of forces you to have to see what this kid's got, right?
Yeah. And not to mention, again, not based on anything I know, but just me kind of pontificating about this, right? Like that money's not coming from nowhere. This is why On to Victory is pushing, hey, sign up, right? Because if you're a fan, you have a chance to take that decision out of the big time donors. Hear me out, guys. If enough people sign up for On to Victory, this becomes a non-issue because then they're not pushing any particular guy. The collective is not. They're just there to raise money so that you can get the best guys. But if a big time donor is giving money for a particular guy, saying they're like, hey, we need $500,000 for a portal QB, and I'm the guy giving the money, it may not be said out loud, but my guy better play. Otherwise, why give you $500,000 for? You know what I mean? There's got to be some ROI. So your choices are be beholden to big donors or micro fund it so you're beholden to nobody. It's politics. It's literally politics. So I like the latter. Microfund it. Yeah. And then just let the coach. But you can't tell me it's one of the reasons why they brought Hugh Freeze in and why Brian Harsin didn't last year. Hugh Freeze understands the game. He understands the politics. He understands that you cannot just come here and coach and not talk to anybody and succeed. You got a glad hand and you got to do some things. But at the end of the day, what you hope for Hugh Freeze is that he wins so much, his approach is not questioned. Saban told their donors, write your checks and sit down and shut up. Let me coach. And after he delivered a championship in year 2, they did exactly that.
Year 3.
Year 3. Was it year 3? I thought it was year 2.
07 was
Florida won.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So year 3.
09.
Yeah. So I mean, look at that. That's great. Good for him. They were clearly on the way. I mean, I think that first year they recruited like Julio Jones and all those guys. And by year 3, those guys would deliver a championship.
Yeah.
But you got to win to get them to sit down and shut up, or your approach will always be questioned.
Right.
And that is my thing with this. The NIL part, and you were digging into this because we're talking about quarterback. It's so difficult because the price tag on that position, you know why it's so high? Is because the way college football is going, you cannot win championships without a dynamic quarterback. It's like Georgia and Stetson Bennett in year 1 was the outlier. And what did they have to do? They had to put a once in a 100-year defense around him. so they could win games while he had 12 pass attempts. On this very show, I said, if they're going to do that again, he's going to have to raise his game. We have some Georgia fans that watch our show, and they were like, no, our defense will always be spectacular. And you know what happened? In year 2, they won it again, but he was one of the best passers in college football. He went from a guy who only threw 12 passes versus a Power 5 team to a guy who was literally in New York for the Heisman ceremony at the end of the year. That's how Georgia won back-to-back. Stetson Bennett had to raise his game, and without him, they lose to Ohio State.
Sure.
And they still needed some help, and he played amazing. He actually was making those guys better with ball placement, release. I mean, he was making great decisions. He looked like an all-world quarterback. You need that to succeed. That's why the price tag on that position is so high right now in the portal. Yeah. You can't get by without it, guys. You have to have it. I think Hugh Freeze understands that he needs a dynamic quarterback at some point. Otherwise, you can't miss it any other position. You got to put the best offensive line around him. You got to, this is why Bama has been doing what they've been doing for so long. Is because first of all, they went out and they recruited quarterback after quarterback after quarterback for like 9 years. They had an amazing run at that position. And the guy who ended up winning it this year was a guy who they brought up in their system. They benched him for a game, and then they went right back to the process. Yeah. And he raised his game, and now they're in the playoff. So if he comes back another year, you know what they expect from Milroe? They expect him to raise his game again and be the guy that doesn't need perfect pieces around him to find success. That's the guy you want in today's college football. The guy who throws guys open, who makes the team better. Ultimately, that's the guy you're building a program and a legacy on. Not the guy that needs his receivers to make acrobatic under the leg, behind the back catches every throw because he can't be accurate consistently. But those guys cost $1 million in the portal. It's crazy. I love that these kids are getting paid now, but this is the ugly part of money in sports that you have to deal with. You turned it into pro football to some extent. Now everybody has to deal with the ramifications of that. This is what it is. So recruit well out of high school and be the guy, Hugh Freeze, please, that Auburn can finally depend on to develop at that position. Because every time Auburn has found a dynamic quarterback, either dual or just with their arm, they've been in the conversation for a championship. Jason Campbell, undefeated. Cam Newton, undefeated. Heisman, national championship. Nick Marshall, 1 game away. Jarrett Stidham. Hell, even Brandon Cox went 11-2.
Yeah.
When they have it, disaster. 7-5, 6-6, barely make a bowl game. Everybody's wondering, fire the coach. You got to have quarterback play, man. You got to have it. The examples are far and few between of teams that win consistently and don't have that. I think that Saban realized that, after Auburn won in 2010, and he was like, crap, no more game managers. And then he went out and he hired Lane Kiffin to coach his non-game manager QBs. He knew they had to evolve on offense, and it changed the game. As soon as Lane Kiffin said he was going to Bama, I was like, crap, Saban figured it out. And we paid the price for him figuring it out. Now Bama fans who already thought they invented football have taken it 5 steps further. And your Twitter feed is cluttered with these morons. The only way to shut them up is by getting your QB and developing that guy. That's where we're at. That's where college football is at right now.
Yeah.
I'd rather that money go around building around Connor Lew instead of spending it on a guy you don't know can play ball.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Bring up your guy. There was a comment in here that said, so we should expect 7-5 next year. I was like, yeah, I think that's a reasonable expectation for next year.
Fans don't want to hear that.
I know they don't want to hear it. I know they want to hear it, but there's a process that Hugh Freeze is working here, and he understands it may or may not produce 8 or 9 wins in year 2, because it's all about them running the version of offense that they want to run, and they've been pretty clear. I think that they're about a year away from being able to do that.
So, but I think I think you buy yourself time if Hugh Freeze continues to recruit the way that he's recruiting.
Exactly. Yes, 100%.
Just like you're sending a message to recruits, you're also sending a message to fans that, hey, you're seeing what we're building here. Trust us to see this through. All right, gentlemen, let's before we get to the rest of some of these comments, let's get to the drawing. Just a reminder, we are giving away a mug courtesy of War Eagle Oil. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments to enter to win. Mike, do you have it pulled up for me?
I got you, sir. Here we go. Let's go.
He's ready to draw. We are drawing.
Bam. Only 44 of y'all. So who's going to be? Is it going to be Lisa? Lisa, did you get in? I seen you in the comments. I didn't see her name pop up. What's wrong with this thing? Lisa. Joshua Jordan. Josh, where you at, son?
Let us know if you're here, Joshua. We will be looking out for you guys. Be looking out for his name. I'm going to grab some comments here. Stephen Neely says, Peyton Thorne, as QB1, keeps Freeze on schedule to develop and transition to Walker White. Thoughts, guys?
This is it. This is exactly what I'm saying. I think you just go with what you have, and you put all your energy into making sure the guy you recruited out of high school is ready to be the guy next year.
Yeah, retweet. I've never been the biggest Peyton Thorne supporter.
No.
but I do think that going into next year, it would do you well for your future to potentially give him another chance. And if not Peyton Thorne, I look to my top corner over there, to a guy who deserves another shot, as always.
Yeah.
But yeah, Walker White is the future. Get him ready. Spend this year to get to do that. I mean, you have a pretty favorable schedule for next year that got announced not too long ago. So
you think so? I don't know how favorable it is, but
I mean, eight home games is pretty nice.
It is. It is. I think Peyton Thorne, your best case scenario is Peyton Thorne takes the next step, and you can turn that into an 8-9, which means you definitely beat somebody that you weren't supposed to beat. And that's really what I'm looking for from Auburn next year is 7 wins, but a good win on the schedule. Beat Oklahoma, right? Beat Missouri. Win one of those games that people probably think you're not going to win, and figure it out. I think there's been some talk about whether Beck is going pro or not, and Georgia was kind of looking for who the backup might be if Beck decides to make the decision to jump. I don't think that great a season. I think he should come back another year.
He's not leaving. He's not leaving.
Yeah, but ultimately, like I said, your best case scenario is Peyton Thorne shows you that he deserves 400 pass attempts. My biggest frustration with how they managed Thorne was you brought him here to throw and then you didn't let him throw. 239 pass attempts is anemic in terms of actual pass attempts on the season. So let him throw, man. And you could have, to me, you won 6 games, and Dylan, the way they managed it, you could have played Robbie at quarterback and won 6 games.
Yeah,
right. I didn't understand that game plan for Peyton Thorne. I did not. So next year, what I hope is if he's your guy, you run it at least differently and you provide more opportunities, because it's not just about Thorne. Hear me out. If you're going to take opportunities away from him, you're taking those same opportunities away from the receivers and the tight ends as well, too. And you're jamming up your run game and putting a lot of pressure on your O-line to blow people off the ball every single play. Now, they should be aiming for that anyway, but my point is that it puts a lot of pressure on one aspect and dynamic of your offense when you just don't do the other thing enough. Right. And it's nice when you're so good that you can line up like in 2010. People knew Cam was running it. They just couldn't stop it. But that O-line, they were full of dogs, man. That was a senior O-line. And Cam even said it in an interview, I think, with Barstool. He said, I chose Auburn because I looked at that O-line. I was like, they got the most senior O-line. Yeah. Look, consequentially, the next year, Russell Wilson did not choose Auburn and went to Wisconsin for that same reason. Because the O-line at Wisconsin, they had and it turned out to be the right decision for him. They won the Rose Bowl that year, I think. So it does matter in terms, like, if you can put pieces around that's so good that people know what's coming and they still can't stop it, great. But you know what? Russell Wilson and Cam Newton were dynamic athletes. Now, I'm not sure that's what you have in Peyton Thorne, so you got to let him cook with his arm, man. You got to at least give him a chance to do what he did at Michigan State.
He did impress me with his toughness to run this year. I don't want him to make a living off of that next year. But I do want him to begin to showcase why we brought him to Auburn in the first place.
Yeah, I would say this here, because I think there's been a lot of mixed messages about my feelings about Thorne running the ball. You know, he's a decent athlete. He is. I think teams are willing to give up the occasional big run from Peyton Thorne because good teams understand that you're not going to beat them that way. When the game is tight and he's been running the whole game and he suddenly has to use his arm, game's over.
Yeah.
Just like in the Iron Bowl. There was still time left in the clock after that 4th and 31.
Right.
And there was no threat that Auburn was going to be able to move the ball just into field goal range. 30 seconds is a lifetime in college football. And I didn't you've got to let him throw. You can't manage him this way and expect him to bail you out of games late.
Yeah.
You can't. Right. And you only won 6 games. So it wasn't like they did that just to save the season and make a bowl game. No, you could have gotten to that 6 a lot of different ways. I'm sorry, especially with the teams you had to beat to get there. What upset was there on the schedule? What team did Auburn upset last year?
Technically Arkansas.
Yeah, I guess, right? Like, I mean, they didn't make a bowl game, so I don't know how much upset that was.
They were favored.
I mean, they upset us when they lost to Mexico State, but we're not a team.
Yeah. Oh, we were upset.
Yeah,
we were trying to upset the conference champion.
They made me upset.
They were the USA runner-up. Come on, just give them some due respect.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I just like you didn't upset anybody. You didn't beat anybody that you weren't supposed to beat. So. Just what is the harm in letting him let it fly against this schedule, man? Just let him throw the ball. I want to see Peyton Thorne cook with his arm.
I need him to practice with a baseball team, though. I need him to learn how to slide because he can't do that at all.
But yeah, I don't want to see him take hits. Dylan, I wouldn't want to see him take hits.
He took some hits last year, but I don't. That doesn't need to become normalized.
No. And you need to get Holden Gurner ready. I hope that he legitimately, we're doing a lot of talk about Peyton Thorne, but I hope that they legitimately give Holden a shot to move up this depth chart this offseason as well, too. I think he's got a better arm, and it's about the things between the ears, essentially, for Holden. And I hate the experience argument because nobody has experience until you have experience. So if you never give him a chance to do it, he's never going to get it. Yeah. You know, and Holden, from what we understand, listen, man, he in the spring he was killing practice. I tweeted it out. Nobody wanted to believe me. I was like, he was definitely the best quarterback in that room this fall camp. But essentially, his non-experience is what kept him off the field. And they went with what they thought was a safer bet because they had seen it in action at this level. But you're not telling me you couldn't have won 6 games with Holden Gurner at quarterback the way they managed it. I think Holden or Robbie, I don't know. And this is not a shot at Peyton Thorne. I'm just saying they didn't let Thorne do what he does. And they're talking about the talent around him, but whatever, man. I hope it looks different because I think even though I'm saying I need people to understand my prediction of 7-5 isn't a gloom and doom prediction. I think that you can still move this offense forward and show proof of concept and win 7 games. Conceptually, you can have progress in a 7-win season. You can, but you can't be bottom of the league in all these offensive categories, right? Like they were last year. Holy crap, man. That's one of the worst offenses we've seen. I think legit it contended at points with 2012 and 2008. Both years a coach got fired. So
Joshua says he is here. So
Congratulations,
Joshua. We need you to do us a quick favor. We need you to head over to business@thewarreport.com. Email us there. Give us your physical address and that mug will be coming your way. Congratulations again, sir. Thanks again for supporting. Let's grab some more comments, guys, and get out of here. Stay Fly says we got Holden for next year. Yes, we do. Black Wing says, so Mike, what if Holden comes back and shows better than Peyton in practice or spring game? Does Hugh make a change?
I hope that he would, but if they're using the same logic as last year, I would just, how much better than Peyton does he have to play to get the shot? Because if he's just a little better in practice, I don't know if they make the switch. Then he's got to be a lot better, and Peyton has to fall off somewhat in practice. And I'm not sure I see that happening. It's tough. If you're Holden, there's no way he didn't consider transferring this fall. And there's still time.
What do you think the message was? What do you tell Holden Geriner if you're Hugh Freeze? If it's going to take him playing significantly better than Peyton Thorne to get the nod, is that what you say to Holden? Clearly it's not, right? Or else he's in the portal.
Yeah, you lie to him. That's what you do. You lie to him and you tell him he's got a shot to win the job. But if you're Holden, you can't really listen to what they're telling you. You just have to look at what they've done.
Yeah.
Right. And if I feel like I played the best, then here's the other thing that these kids are faced with. When you decide to hit the portal, because more kids, Dylan, get lost in the portal and never find a home than find some other school and it all works out and, they find their pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So if you're Holden, the math you're doing is, I don't have enough tape to go anywhere and say, I want to be the starter from game one. So that leaves you with a decision. Do you transfer to another Power 5 school, end up in the same position, or do you take a step back in terms of the level of football so that you can get on the field while you still have eligibility, kill it, and then transfer again to another Power 5 program? Kind of like, look, when Cam Newton messed up at Florida, Dad sent him to Blinn College exile. He killed it, and then he came back and won a Heisman because he was that guy. But instead of wasting a year at another Power 5 program on the bench behind some guy who's already solidified, he went and he came back as the hot product. I think that more kids need to not poo-poo this approach. Cam's dad had the foresight to say, this is the direction you need to go. TJ Finley, guys, had 1 year of eligibility left. I'm not saying he's going to go pro, but he at least gave himself a shot for somebody to look at him because he went to Texas State and he got some tape. He got about as many shots at this level than Bo got. Like I said, he may not go pro, but at least he gave himself a chance by going somewhere, and he was a top 20 passer in all the NCAA this year. I think that would probably be a good path for Holden if you get the feeling that you're not ever going to get a shot, because after this year, it only gets harder. If you can't win it this year, you're never going to win it. So you want to waste another year at Auburn, or do you want to go someplace where you can get some tape, prove that you can be that guy, and then when he transfers again, guess what? Every team's going to be after him. Go somewhere and throw for 4,000 yards and come back and be, told you, I was him the whole time. You just didn't want to see it. Might be a good route.
I will say, if Holden doesn't transfer out during this first transfer window, your spring practices, it's not just Peyton and Holden that you're worried about.
Yeah.
You got Walker White, he's going to early enroll, and I am booging. Robbie Ashford can't transfer until he graduates.
Yeah, after the spring.
It's going to be a four like workhorse battle, because Robbie, if Robbie's planning on transfer, he's going to ball his butt off to prove to other teams that he can play. And if he doesn't win the job, he's going to go somewhere else. He's going to ball out somewhere else. Holden has a chance to do that as well. Holden's got the best arm out of everybody on the roster right now. Robbie's got the best running ability. Peyton Thorne was just the best at doing both, which is why he won the job. But if Holden can develop as a runner and Robbie can develop as a passer, you're looking at a Malik Willis, Joey Gatewood, Bo Nix type battle where you're just looking around like we don't know who's going to start until whoever Bo Nix played week 1, which I'm trying to remember if it wasn't Akron. It was Bama State, maybe. Whoever week 1 was. But you saw a guy like Malik Willis transfer out right after Joey Gatewood and Bo Nix kind of cemented themselves as 1 and 2. You're going to get a tough battle from all 4 of these guys because that's just what their character is. Holden wants to play. He feels like he deserves a shot. Peyton Thorne had the job and wants to keep his job. Robbie Ashford has a sense of, I want to prove to the world that I'm a good quarterback, that I want to prove that these coaches made a mistake by not giving me a shot. And then you have Walker White coming in who wants to prove that he's going to be the truth right away.
Yep.
This could be one of the most fun quarterback battles that Auburn fans have witnessed in recent memory.
Yeah. I doubt, like, look, Walker White.
He's not getting a shot in year 1.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to want to risk ruining him by throwing him out there too early.
I think they're going to do what they did with, I'm trying to remember exactly who it was. Like what they did last offseason was gave Hank Brown a shot for a little bit. They gave like the week where you kind of narrowed it down to 3, and then you had another week when you narrowed it down to 2, and then you took that week to kind of battle it out that way.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of the approach you're going to take. Walker White's going to get a shot with the 1s in early practice.
Yeah,
but there's not a good shot that he's going to make it to week 2 with the 1s. That's not going to happen. But he's going to go out there. He's going to try to prove that, maybe I'm a Bo Nix level and I should be able to play week 1 right away, right out of high school. Because that's just the kind of guy he is. He's a guy who loves Auburn through and through. And he's proved that. And I think he deserves at least a week with the 1s to kind of see what he can do, what he needs to work on. And that way, whenever you go to 2025, you kind of have a checklist of what you need him to be better at by the time you want him to get in and start performing at a high level with Perry Thompson and Ken Coleman and all those other guys who are going to still commit to Auburn and sign on the 20th.
All right, gentlemen. Blake Robinson says, I think if Holden stays, he will be the guy that passes off to Walker White after 2025. So we got someone who believes that Holden can actually do it.
Yeah, just give him a shot, man. Like, he's a talented kid, and he was recruited by Harsin. And it sucks, man. Sometimes a new coach comes in, and these guys get lost in a system, with a coaching staff that didn't recruit them. And so you really do have to show out to this new staff. It's like tryouts, man, all over again. You got to audition so they get to know you. It was funny. Hugh Freeze talked about Damari Alston in the spring. He was like, man, we overlooked him. He's a ball player. Yeah, Hugh, there were a lot of ball players on this team, because the idea, I think, that was sold to them was we don't have any talent. No, you have talent. Now, how you choose to utilize the talent is up to you, obviously, but there was a lot of production to be gotten out of this roster, and not just at quarterback, but at other positions as well.
My only concern with Holden Geriner has nothing to do with his arm. It's just that when you look at Hugh Freeze's offense, all of his QBs have had some form of mobility. And I think that could be the thing that holds Holden back. I think that's the thing that Holden has to really show that he can run that aspect.
His arm has to be extremely superior, right? Like, accuracy has to become his ally. You got to be the most. You got to be the most composed and the most accurate. You got to make the right reads. You have to do all the other things exceptionally so that they can develop a game plan that makes sense for your strengths. But if you're not a runner, you just don't make that a strength at this level, right? Like, you're not a runner. So, he's got to find a way to improve himself in other areas.
If you want Holden, you got to boost that offensive line. That's as simple as that.
Yeah.
But you got to do regardless. But if it's a guy who isn't going to run the ball out of the pocket or try to make people miss, again, build people around Connor Lew. Get some guards,
you have to be Florida when they had Cal Trask. Right?
Yeah.
And again, your receiving core has to be almost elite. I mean, again, there's some things you got to have in place to accommodate a Holden Geriner if he's your guy.
Yeah. Or if you're Holden, again, the cure for not being able to run is an accurate ball and a quick release, coupled with good reads. Read the field quickly. A lot of good pre-snap reads as well, too. This guy's me covered. I'm already on my second read. The best quarterbacks get to their third and their fourth reads because they're off their first read before the ball is snapped. They read the defense, and they're like, oh, he's covered. not going there with the football, and they get the second and third, and people are like, oh, it's so amazing. It's a lot of pre-snap stuff. Back in 2003, I remember this team meeting we had with Tuberville, and he was talking about Carlos Rogers going up against Eli Manning. And Tuberville had this funny way of just calling opposing players by their number. He never said their names. I forgot what, I think Eli was maybe 10 in college.
Yeah, he was 10.
He was 10, right? And he was like, that 10, he's a smart guy. He knows where he's going with the football. He said, but he's going to throw something right at you. You going to catch it? Like he said this to Carlos Rogers. And Carlos Rogers was like, I got you, coach. Now, he didn't get an interception that game. And it came to, we all know how that one ended in epic fashion. But ultimately, Eli made a very simple read at the end of the game, dumped it off to a fullback that ran like 80 yards or something, and ended up being the game-winning drive. And if you're holding, you need to be that type of quarterback. You drop back, you know where you're going with the football, you throw the ball with confidence, and you give your receiver every opportunity to make a play. He can't be the quarterback that requires the receivers to make acrobatic catches to bail him out. He needs to be the quarterback that throws such an accurate ball that average receivers look great when he's throwing it. That's how you win the job if you're holding Gardner. You throw it so that it's always going to be caught, even by an average receiver. And ideally, I think that's what every QB coach and an offensive coordinator, an offensive guy hopes for in their quarterback. The guy who throws the perfect ball all the time, right? Or most of the time. 9 times out of 10, that ball is right where it's supposed to be so that the receiver can make a catch and then make a play after the catch. That's how he exceeds Peyton Thorne if he's going to do it.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's get through some of these comments here. James Barnett says, fellas, again, Coach Hugh Freeze said he was a QB whisperer. Prove it. Develop these guys into SEC QBs. I'm holding him to what he said.
Yeah, I agree. This will be his mark as a great coach at Auburn, or the reason he gets fired.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. His ability to develop QBs.
All right,
what you got?
I was going to say, I hit it nail on the head there. Develop. Prove what the other two coaches ahead of him couldn't do.
Exactly.
If Peyton Thorne progresses instead of regresses, which is the exact opposite we saw from both Brian Harsin and Gus Malzahn. I mean, Gus Malzahn turned Jarrett Stidham into just the most average-looking quarterback you've ever seen. As a guy who was ranked #1 quarterback in his class and balled out at Baylor and balled out in 2017, and then went from a guy who was going to be a first-round draft pick to a guy who went like round 4, round 5, or later. But that's all you got to do, develop.
Stephen Neely gifted 5 War Report memberships. Thank you, Stephen, for that. Andrew Jacobs says, Perry Thompson is scaring me. Is he scaring you guys?
Don't let Bama burners fool you.
Yeah, it's a lot of Bama smoke out there in the message board and Twitter lands talking about Perry Thompson has been recruiting so hard for all. I just don't see it.
Guess where he's going to be on Sunday? Guess where he's going to be on Sunday?
At the basketball game.
And Neville Arena.
Treated like
Auburn.
A king. Yeah.
Exactly. He is
to pick up his duffel bag full of cash just in case.
It's his last visit before he signs on the 20th.
Yeah.
And believe me, he ain't going to no Alabama basketball game. He ain't going to no airplane hangar. That's not where he wants to chill at. He's going to be in Auburn, Alabama to watch Auburn and Aiden Holloway take on the USC Trojans. And he is going to remain with the Auburn Tigers on Wednesday alongside Cam Coleman, alongside Bryce Kane, alongside Malcolm Simmons. This wide receiver class is disgusting, even if you can't flip Ryan Williams.
Yeah. Agreed.
So,
all facts.
Black Wing says the Panthers failed Cam Newton. I stand on that heel.
Retweet.
I literally talking about this with a friend yesterday. When you look at that Super Bowl they lost, they actually outgained. Like Denver had less than 200 yards of offense. Cam completely carried that team for an entire season with Ted Ginn as his #1 receiver.
And Philly Brown.
Yep. And the next year, they did absolutely nothing to get him any help. They are a dysfunctional organization, and I feel so bad for Bryce Young. I hope they get it together for his sake.
Panthers fan over here. Hi.
Yeah.
Not well.
We're not okay. Yeah, Panthers right here. We're not okay.
There are a lot of players I hate in this world, and two of them are Mike Rimmers, the right tackle who blocked Von Miller, because I swear up and down, put me in one-on-one with Von Miller, and I swear I can do a better job than Mike Rimmers can. I'll put my life on that because I'll be going with Von Miller. And I also hate TJ Watt, who hit Cam Newton in the shoulder. Yeah. And then I hate Mike Rivera because he forced Cam Newton back onto the field, even though his shoulder was torn up. All the crap.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of spite in your heart. I love it.
I've now talked about Cam Newton and the Panthers completely ruining my life, and talking about the 4th and 31, and talking about the New Mexico State game. This is one of the podcasts of all time for me.
All right.
Bubba and the old man, the Auburn Sports Talk, says TJ still got another year or two as well, referring to the season he had this year.
Finland?
Yeah, I don't know about that. His freshman year was 2020.
He has a COVID year. For sure.
COVID year, right? So 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and a COVID year. So I think he's got maybe one more year.
Is he going to transfer? He'll look great for either Army, Air Force, or Navy.
As a graduate, I believe you can transfer as many times as you want without penalty after you graduate. So he could transfer to another Power 5 program and maybe get another shot to do it at this level. I thought he had only one more year left, but I think you're right. If his freshman year was 2020, essentially that year didn't count, right? And then you had 2021, 2022, and 2023. So, yeah, he would have one more year.
Yeah.
You get 5 years to play. Yeah, it's crazy. Feels like you've been in school forever.
Well, I thought JT Daniels was going to play another year, but he retired.
I think he retired because of injury.
Yeah. I was getting ready to hear him announce the trade. I saw JT Daniels come up on the breaking news tab. I was like, he is not transferring again. Come on. Please tell me he's not. And then he retired.
He's giving it up. All right, gentlemen. Good show. Good talk. Mike G, tell the folks how they can get access to Ike Jones film review.
Hey guys, look, become a patron. These are like micro sponsorships of our channel, but it's a great way to keep our content going. We got lots of great content coming for you guys. You don't want to miss it. $5.99 a month will help us continue our work at the War Report. We get enough of you guys to sign up, man. We'll bring you all the content you ever dreamed of. You can also gift a membership. A couple of you have done this tonight. Keep these going, guys. This is a great way to give the gift to the War Report and help somebody else enjoy that behind-the-scenes content, as well as help keep our channel running. Definitely want to thank our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy's Consulting Services, in conjunction with War Eagle Oil, for gifting this mug. We appreciate them. They're great partners. The War Report Podcast Network is live and in effect. The Auburn Express, the Uptempo Podcast, the College Loop, which Dylan is a part of, just a sec. Ike over there bringing you guys lots of great audio-only content. You don't want to miss that. Subscribe on podcast, download, give us a 5-star review, help us continue to climb the podcast charts. Definitely want to show sponsor Lynch Toyota for sponsoring this segment, guys. Lynch Toyota of Auburn is the area's premier Toyota dealership, serving the Auburn area for over 20 years. To buy, sell, trade, or service your vehicle, make sure you shop Lynch Toyota of Auburn for the best customer service. Get started at lynchtoyotaofauburn.com. All Toyotas are created equal. Lynch Toyota makes the difference. Also, wanted to shout out sponsor Rogue Shop. RogueShop.com. Use code RAPPORT to get 15% off that Rogue Shop order. Great sponsors of the War Report. We appreciate them for all that they do for us. Again, kind of like day 2 sponsors, but they sleep, stress, anxiety, pain, whatever else you know, like Rogue Shop has something to have you covered. If you're an Auburn fan, you probably need one of these products for one of the reasons I just named. Also, I want to thank show sponsor MANSCAPED. MANSCAPED is Santa for a lot of guys who are looking for a solution to a very specific problem. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have just launched their 5th-generation performance package to help you avoid another silent night in the bedroom this year. Take care of your special snowflake with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra and watch your South Pole shine like never before. Get the best stocking stuffer of all by going to manscaped.com and using code RAPPORT for 20% off plus free shipping. Mrs. Claus will thank you. Mrs. Claus. You got a Mrs. Claus in your life, Dylan? Is this why
I forget I'm 23 sometimes.
Yeah, okay, all right. Hey, listen, it is what it is. Manscaped, they make great products. I own, listen, not just the shavers. They make like lotions and, a lot of other great products like, men, I feel like the average man doesn't do enough self-care when it comes to this type of stuff. And they definitely make products tailored to men to help us with that. So the lotions and, face lotions and body lotions and things of that nature are real good. And ball lotion, right? Like middle of the day, not fresh down there. Bop, bop, bop.
Great comedian Carlos Miller says, "Manscape your landscape."
Manscape your landscape, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. So listen, guys. Good. Jesus Christ. Guys, share this video with those that you know. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. You can hit us up on Twitter, Instagram. I'm still not calling it X. Twitter and Instagram at the Rapport. It's TW Rapport on TikTok. Guys, we will catch you on Friday with Facts or Nah edition of the Morning Drop. Until then, we will see you guys. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.